communities in high crime areas.
Yeah.
This showed up on my FYP for you page, I'm assuming is what that is.
Yeah.
I'm just checking to see what it is because somebody paid me $10. Okay, like I don't disagree with you that there is a possibility that that you might get positive effects from the philosophy, number one, and then you might even see a slight. I would, that caveat, likely it's a very slight, if at all, increase in IQ, and that would be a good thing. But my problem is it doesn't. It's like oh, okay, we're going to ignore what is likely the majority of the problem because that's part's uncomfortable because we have a small solution that can have a small positive benefit. And that to me feels, I don't want to say dishonest, but if you know what I mean, but it's like, no, we got to tackle the genetic issue. And I think socialism and welfare is one of the ways that we have to tackle it. And there might be some overlap there, right? Because a proper philosophy, you know, of rational self-interest as opposed to dependency on welfare is going to change that. But without, you know, but also we have to encourage the high IQ people to breed more. And one of the ways that we do that is to stop taxing them to death so they're not waiting until they're 35 to have children.
Capital accumulation is faster.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where is the donation?
You know, what I would say is that one that like completely ignore anybody who has, you know, like it is understandable if you have discomfort around certain things, but you're completely right that if you don't talk about it, your enemies will, and you should never leave, you know, as like Zulu has the flow, right? So like you should never leave the flow empty ever. Like present your own argument and better make sure the argument is the correct argument on any topic. So like, of course, like if there is lead poisoning going on, you address that. But like what my broad point would be is that like all of these things that a lot of people talk about, you know, there might be, you know, let's say increase in violence or
this is
increase
someone
in
says
single parent households.
Johnny the Commie says this is eugenics. Yeah, eugenics is depends on what you mean by eugenics. Yeah, there's if your definition of eugenics encompasses using governmental action to select for certain traits, right? And knowing that governmental action is negatively impacting breeding behaviors and traits based upon behavior, then it's eugenics when girls say that I only like tall guys, right? Like I want to see you go to every Instagram reel when some girl is like, he has to be 6 feet and be like, you fucking eugenicist, right? Like, but like this is a Mott and Bailey and you know it. Like no one here is saying we need to like sterilize black people or we need to like use birth control programs to make sure the blacks don't breed. If we were saying that, then like, yeah, sure, this is eugenics, eugenics bad. But if your definition of eugenics is just talking about traits and behavior and how socialism or different government programs affect populations and partners that they choose and how many children that they have and why this could be potentially a problem and how we can intervene with environmental things like fixing the infrastructure of our waterway systems to reduce lead poisoning. If that's eugenics, like kindly go fuck yourself.
Yeah, and like if that is eugenics, then eugenics becomes a good thing. So what's the problem?
Yeah, if that's eugenics, then like, yeah, hell yeah, eugenics is based.
So like,
it's like when you guys call everybody a fascist or a Nazi, and then everyone's like, oh, I guess I'm a Nazi now. And it's like, congratulations, you created Nazis because you made it palatable.
Exactly, like give an argument instead of a word, right? Give it why is this bad instead of it's eugenics. Like who cares what the word you use, right?
Like I want to be honest about this. Like it does not make me happy to look at the data, and most of the data seem to be screaming at me that most of IQ is heritable, and IQ is deeply correlated with someone's outcomes in life, as well as the degree to which they can be moral. Obviously, there are outliers, but when we are talking about sub 70 IQ, we're talking about people that lack the capacity to actually adopt a worldview that is conducive towards a stable society. And like that doesn't make me happy at all. I want to fix that, and I want to do it in a non-violent, voluntary way. But if nobody is willing to talk about this, except for maybe somebody like Charlie Kirk, and then we assassinate him, except Nazis, well, guess what? We're going to get a lot of fucking Nazis. because they're the
Yeah.
only people talking about the elephant in the room.
Don't use we there. Like, we didn't do that. Like, ANCAPs didn't do that.
Okay, when I say
Some
we, I
fucking
mean
idiot.
I'm saying as an American.
But
Like,
Americans
I'm an
didn't do
American.
that. Some random idiot did.
I mean, or, you know, it was fucking like, you know, some government intelligence agency, because, you know, that happens
Yeah.
too.
I mean, someone did it, but like it's not collective blame there. Like even like all Americans don't share that blame.
Anki says, by definition, all statists love slavery. This isn't news. Anki, I agree. I'm with you. But if I'm supposed to only debate people that are familiar with libertarian philosophy, I'm not going to get a lot of debates. Like, I show up to a lot of places where people are not really, where these ideas are new to them and where they're new to their audience, right? That's the love of the game of going out and spreading this philosophy. So I'm happy to have you and I'm happy to have your support. But like, just know that like, that's what I do, dog. I go into the lion's den.
And also, if that's ANCAP Monkey, I know that guy. Hello. And so another thing that I would like to say is that a lot of environmental factors that contribute, which would be, let's say, welfare dependence, let's say, you know, single parent households, let's say, violence, all of these things would just instantly improve on a good philosophy. So like, I would say, of course, like lead poisoning would not be affected by philosophy, like obviously, but everything that can be done well would be done well by these people on a good philosophy. So like, to the extent that they can control their own destiny, they will be.
Fabian Liberty, go fuck yourself. I'm reporting your channel. For what? For having the wrong views? I don't bye. Have fun.
Who cares? Like,
you know what I mean? Like,
what is this?
I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I'm sorry you're such a pussy. Listen, I agree that you're like, if you attempt to teach proper philosophy, I think you're going to get good outcomes. Now, the problem might be to what degree of resources are we willing to spend and how much of a good outcome will we get, right? Because if we are dealing with people that are, like, if we're targeting low income, you know, high crime areas where the average IQ might be is going to be in the 80s, we might spend a lot of resources trying to improve their philosophy and have very little return on investment. Like, I don't disagree that if I could press a magic button and make everyone in America an objectivist, the world would be in vastly better place after having pressed that button, right? But there is a conversation to be had about, like, okay, we have a problem, and the problem is criminal deviancy and, to a certain degree, low IQ among certain demographic groups, and especially in certain impoverished areas. How do we fix this? Right? And because, like, just having that conversation is so fucking difficult to begin with that it becomes very difficult to, like, even get to the next logical step is, how do we fix this? You're saying, you know, you want to promulgate the philosophy of objectivism. I don't disagree that wouldn't have positive effects. I just disagree that, like, in terms of money or resources spent, that you might have higher returns on investment fixing the lead pipes, or, you know, like, or certain other things like that.
I wouldn't disagree. But that's the thing. Like, after you have done,
hold on. Pause.
Okay. All right.
Johnny the Commie writes, at Shadow Warning, I'm blocking you, and then someone deleted it. Mods, I know that people can be triggering. We only time people out if they break TOS or if they spam. That's it. I sometimes time out somebody that's annoying as fuck, and usually I only do so because it's reached the level where it's basically spam. I don't want this channel to just have somebody come in and talk some shit, and then because we don't like them, we fucking no. We fight here. And if people want to come into the chat and fight, I hit him hard mostly for the threat to report. You make a good argument. You make a good argument that someone comes in and says they're going to report, and you know what I mean, like they're just trying to clip farm for some bullshit. You do make a good argument. I didn't. I'll let it go. I'll stop. You got that one. But just bear in mind, all right? We're not trying, or if they're British, yeah, fuck England. Sorry, go ahead. I just wanted to take care of that, but no, you're not wrong. You made a good argument very quickly, and I'm like, all right, that's fair.
So what I was thinking was that, of course, like once you fix things which are literally poison, like let's say lead poisoning, uh, you like there is a ceiling above which like you would almost get no improvement till you fix the philosophy. And I could point out that one of the reasons things got this bad would be philosophy. Like, why is there welfare? Because of altruistic philosophy leading to socialistic policies, right?
Hmm.
Why is there, criminality? Leonard Peikoff did a lecture on this, the philosophy of the criminal mind. I'll send you that. But basically, the broad point is that it is very philosophical. Like criminals, I think from the 50s onwards, there has been a massive increase in crime in the US, and that has coincided with the teaching of uh, you know more and more Kantian philosophy in the US. And because once you instill in people that the world is against you and you are powerless and all you can do is just be hedonists and take things by force and stuff like that, then they're going to do that. And
I don't
you could
I
see
don't
a lot of
disagree.
you know
I don't disagree with you, right? But
but
hear me
just
out.
one last
Oh, go
point.
ahead. Go ahead.
uh, in like black intelligentsia, you would see, like if we're talking about the black community, in like black intelligentsia and black culture, how many uh, how many voices are there which are for even like a moderate Protestant work ethic kind of thing, like, hey, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, or like, don't, like, basically just not be horrible people. Like, how many voices are there? Like, all of the academia would just be constantly affirming the victimization, which would be like, yeah, you were enslaved one, like your great 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 parents were enslaved once, and so you're just fucked for life. That's the
Right.
academic uh, m- mantra that is just told to them.
You know what I
And then
love
their
about
culture would be all of them gangsters and stuff. And so what aspiration does, let's say, a young person in such a neighborhood have? you know
you know
that's what they're sold.
my favorite argument against that is Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
You know
As in?
why? Because
Mm-hmm.
because both slavery and interracial marriage, both
Mm-hmm.
miscegenation laws, if you will, were abolished roughly 80 years before they were throughout the rest of the country. And
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, so how long is this going to take to fix? How many
but,
generations
but but
does
that's
this
not the
last?
argument I'm making, though. The
No, 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 no,
argument
no.
I'm
But that's
making is that,
I use that, and then they go,
yeah,
oh, like, oh, like if we were free, blah blah blah, for another 40, 50 years or something, right? And then it's like, okay, well,
yeah, won't make a difference.
how come there's no substantive difference between black people in Massachusetts than they are in the rest of the U.S.? They had 80-year head
Mm-hmm.
start.
Exactly.
What are you talking about,
Like,
right? They never
mhm,
had Jim Crow, right? They never had like the Jim Crow South laws or any of that.
mhm. I mean, that stuff is so much in the
Redlining
past.
affected a
Like,
lot of white
you
people
don't
too, by
need
the
it.
way. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, here's the thing. I don't disagree with you that if you were to fix the philosophy, that you would fix almost all of the things that I think are likely to be causing these the genetic components, right? Because of the
Uh-huh.
socialism and the welfare and the criminality that leads towards poor decision making in
Yeah.
breeding, right? Because I mean, when you
Mm-hmm.
have a community where fatherlessness is so high and there's all these all this trauma and all of these
Mm-hmm.
problems, well then yeah, you get women that go out and have sex with hyper masculine
Mm-hmm.
retards, if you will, like, and then get pregnant and
Yes.
then they get left and then they repeat that cycle, and it's like that is also a cycle that is being repeated genetically. So I don't disagree that
Yeah.
would
But
fix those
on top
things,
of that,
but
imagine being told that that is a good thing. That you being this person who is in poverty and like not doing anything to get out of poverty, just existing on welfare, and you being a single parent instead of not a single parent. Like, imagine that being empowering.
the
That
veneration
being
of
a
the
good
single
thing. And
mother, yeah.
yes,
But
and the only reason that you are, fucked in life is because you were black, and because everybody around you was secretly conspiring to keep you down. Now,
so
if that is what you're told and you believe it, because most people are just normies, right? They'll believe what the professors
there's a
tell them,
there's a blaring
and if
problem
that is
here.
what you're told, right?
I agree with everything you're saying here, but there's like one, like an elephant in the room, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
is how do we get to the point where we are teaching this philosophy and instantiating this philosophy into the entire culture? And so, like, I agree with you. If I can flip
Gonna take a
the
long
button,
time.
And the way, right, and one of the ways that we have to do that,
We just do what we are doing.
right. Well, one of the ways that we have to do that is we have to have tough conversations. We have to have interventions either through the market or government that showcase proof of these things, right? So it's like you know what I mean? Like I can't adequately convince all of America that we should abolish the FBI. Like that's an impossible task. But I might be able to convince a small town that they should use a private security firm instead of a locally elected sheriff. And then if I can convince them of that, I can use that data, I can use that empirics, and I can go to other towns and say, it worked for this town. It saved them money. Rights violations went down. You know, crime went down. People were happy with this system. You should try it too.
Yes.
And then if I do that to 50 cities in America, and one of those states has like 10 of those cities in it, all of a sudden we might get to a position where like somebody that runs on doing that same thing at the statewide level might be able to win an election because the proof's in the pudding and everybody likes it. Right. And so it's like, I don't disagree with you that a proper philosophy is a thing. I still have an issue with, I don't know. I feel like we could beat our heads against the wall for 100 years and you're not going to get demographic groups that have an average IQ of 85 to have a majority of them adopt that philosophy. I just don't think you can make if a group of people. I know it's an arbitrary.
They don't have a choice.
I understand that's an arbitrary. I understand that race is an arbitrary metric, but if we use it and we use that to such a degree that we say that this is a group that has an average IQ of 85, we will try 100 years, and the only people we will ever make objectivists are the 1/6 of that population that have an average IQ of 100, and the 140 of that population, 1 out of 40 in that population that has an IQ of 115. And what we will find is that the people with an IQ of 85. No, I don't disagree with you, right? Like you don't need them all. I agree.
Because no. Not only do we not need all, like we don't need all to convert all, is what I'm saying. Like think about what percentage of the Roman population was Christian before the Roman Empire adopted Christianity, right? Like you need the, you know.
I don't know. I don't know my Roman history well enough to know what percentage of Rome was
not
Christian.
Enough. Like, no, they were not the majority. Like in the Russian Revolution, the communists were like 3%, right? In the American Revolution, only 3% of people rebelled. So like for massive changes, what you need is basically, for lack of a better word, you need basically the intellectuals. And if you change the professor class or the equivalent, like it doesn't have to be professors, it can be simply, internet intellectuals as well. Like people like if you get 1,000 Eric Julais, you would see a difference in the black community, is what I'm trying to say. Is that, the vast majority of a population, they are philosophically passive. That is, they don't have a philosophy, they get it from certain intellectuals. And you only have to capture those intellectually curious top 1%, top 1/6. And once you have that, you have the population.
Right, but this argument is just an argument for spreading objectivist philosophy. I'm kind of already there. We've gotten kind of off of the beaten path of what do we do about about a community of people that is ever increasingly becoming a problem, and what do we do about also keeping in check the white people that are becoming increasingly frustrated with this population and willing to adapt more and more authoritarian and socialist measures in the hopes of controlling it. And I like the objectivist Randian perspective. Like I certainly have a soft spot for this. All we need is a philosopher king, or all we need is a few people to break away, and then the looters all starve. But like it's one of those. It's of all of the things that Rand ever put forward, I find it to be the most unbelievable. Like I don't think you can do this with a Galt's Gulch, right? I think you need a lot more than 3 dudes under a professor to come together and decide that they're gonna
maybe 3% of the US. Like if you get 3%
like 3%,
of the US,
3%
in a decade or 2 decades, you're going to get the country.
That's 3%. Yeah, I would agree with that. If you could make 3% of the entire population objectivist, you would you'd radically change.
Like if 3% of the people are like you and Zulu, then the country is saved in 20 years.
I don't want to say anything after that because that's the highest compliment a man can receive. And I don't want to go back to arguing about race and IQ. You know what I mean? I just want to leave it at if 3% of the country becomes subscribers to this channel, guys. There's 39 concurrent viewers, only 16 likes. Like, share, subscribe, consider donations. I love you guys. If we can only get 3% of the U.S., all right. Currently, we have 2,600, roughly somewhere around there. All right, the U.S. population is around 340 million. You know, we just need what is that?
9 million-ish.
Right. We just need like 10. We just need like 10 million subscribers, boys, and the country is saved. So just all we need is 9 million.
Many others.
Right, 9,997,400 more subscribers, and we're good to go.
Yes.
Roughly. You know what I mean? So I see you, and I see that there's only 18 likes, which means there's 21 of you. 22 now. Sorry, I'm updating as numbers go up and down. About 22 of you watching that didn't like the stream. All right, help us get to our 10.41824 million subscribers necessary to save this nation.
Do your patriotic duty.
Yeah, do your patriotic duty and make me absurdly wealthy. Unliking now? How dare you? How dare you? Oh, Buck, hold on.
So my message to the haters out there is no one cares, no one's listening. All right, well, let's get it.
As all the haters in the comments. So if Jimmy were an anarchist instead of the Antichrist, we'd already be saved. Unlike. Don't try and do that. They're going to think you're a bot. And then that dude that reported the stream is going to they're going to look at it and be like, oh, there's some bots in here too? Gone. Nuked. Scott needs to pay my bills. I do need to pay my bills. All right, guys? I appreciate the money. Is there anything else you wanted to say? Anything else? Because I don't want to go back to race and IQ.
Okay.
Is there anything you wanted to say to the channel or anything?
Yeah, I would say one thing which you said, which I kind of very much liked, which was, if you can go to a small town and you can convince them to get this done, and then that can spread. I would say much more of that needs to be done, and also much more of spreading of the theory needs to be done so that more people start doing that. So, a lot of people, especially the recent pragmatist and principled debates that have been happening, a lot of people would have this thing that should we do things or should we teach theory? No. You do both. It's the same, right? You have to use the theory to do the things, and when you do the things, you inadvertently teach the theory as well. So you teach the theory and you do the things, and that when you teach the theory, there are more people who will now speed up the doing of the thing because there are more people doing the thing.
And one of the things I want to kind of piggyback and just add on to is one of the biggest problems that I've noticed among subjectivists and libertarians is most subjectivists and libertarians are high IQ because it's a difficult philosophy. And in this day and age, trying to learn a difficult philosophy that also requires you to admit that you were a monster before. I think that's one of the hardest things. Right? Because communism, conservatism, socialism, all of these soft variants of communism allows you to say that this other person is the problem. And it takes a certain type of person to go, no, actually, I was the problem. I was a part of the problem. And so you tend to see it amongst high IQ people. And what that means is you tend to see it amongst a lot of city people, right? High IQ people tend to live in cities because that's where most of the intellectual labor is going to be productive, right? Like if you're a high IQ person, then your value of your labor is probably not, I know we've got some welders in here. We got a little bit of everything, but predominantly speaking, we're talking about people that are office workers, internet people, work from home people, etc. And they tend to live in cities. And so one of the things that I find is that proselytization on the ground, they go to a lot of city events because there's a lot of people in the cities, but the cities are full of left-wing people. Meanwhile, places like the country.
But how did they get so? That's another thing, right? They only got so because left-wing proselytizers 3 generations ago did what we are supposed to be doing right now.
I think there's more to it than that. I think there's something to working with your hands and working off of the land and the social and reputation management of the of a necessary a level of order and politeness and trust and things that occur in the country that go away in the city with industrialization is probably had a larger effect than like the proselytization of the left in the cities. I don't think, like, if we're talking about specifically why are the cities more left than the country? If you want to talk about why leftism is out there, yes. But why is it isolated more in the cities? I think that's those reasons. And then the fact that there's inner city poverty and, you know, this is a philosophy of blame, of external locus of control, et cetera. But I get what you're saying to a certain degree. But what I'm trying to say is if you go out to Appalachia, right, or you go out to podunk places, ranchers and things like that, you will find that these people are already very libertarian. They're not libertarian in theory or in philosophy, but they are far more receptive to the idea of libertarian because they have an innate distrust and hatred of government because they are often fucked over by the state, ignored by the state. You have all the and their values are different than what is often pushed by the state. And one of the greatest failures that I see of libertarians is that we don't go out to the country to some, you know, local game or certain thing like, you know, events in towns to spread the philosophy. Because I think, although yes, there's a lot less people there, I think those people are far more receptive to our ideas than most libertarians realize. Because most libertarians are city people that have never stepped out of the damn city except to go to a cottage for a vacation or some shit.
That would also cause the problem of how do you, like, if someone has always lived in the city, you probably need a point of contact in the country to even, you